Hey LEGO fans, and welcome back to MB Bricks. My name is Maya, and today I'm going to be taking you guys through a bit of my trip to Bricks in the Six, as well as how I packed my builds to take with me. I have done another video of how I packed my build for Brick Rodeo this past summer, which was my very first LEGO convention, and was very tricky because I was traveling by plane. This time I was able to drive to Toronto Convention, Bricks in the Six, so I wanted to share how I packed things differently this time and how the builds fared in this journey. Firstly, I packed the Grey Havens, which is a much smaller build. Now, I originally didn't plan on bringing this to Bricks in the Six, although I'm glad I did because it was very well received. Unfortunately, I didn't really make this build with the intent of traveling in mind, so I simply removed the tall tower in the front and the gazebo, and then the trees and leaves from the landscape. The base is one solid form, so I had to keep that together, and I slid it onto a piece of plywood to give it extra support underneath. I then decided to cover it with a large plastic bag in case any pieces fell off during transport. I did knock off a few of the ferns with this, but for the most part it stayed fully intact, with just removing a couple pieces off the top of the mountains to fit properly in the bag. I then got to work on my large castle build. I started with the landscaping area of the build, which separates into 3 sections. I removed the larger pieces such as the trees and the buildings first, and then anything that seemed to be sticking up a lot more, I also removed those pieces from the landscaping. I tried to keep most of the small pieces into smaller bins, carefully placing the trees so they hopefully wouldn't break. The trees were some of the most time-consuming things to rebuild our Brick Rodeo, so I wanted to see if I could get away with keeping them intact. I also made all my trees the same style this time, because another issue I had at Brick Rodeo is all the trees were completely different, which made it harder to reassemble them. Fortunately, most of my trees arrived in perfect condition, and I only had to replace about 6 leaves in total. Once everything was off the landscaping that I wanted to remove, I cleared out a couple of these large totes that I've used to store my bulk brick. They fit 2 48 by 48 base plates perfectly inside, and I used towels in between each section to protect the foliage and other details left on top. This was a very efficient way to pack, and with the exception of a few bushes, everything remained in place. The castle was the tricky part to pack, as I originally had each floor come apart for travel, but due to the wiring for the lighting, decided to disconnect minimally. The 2 towers at the top as well as the gatehouse were removed easily, and I only had to disconnect a single wire to remove the 3rd floor and the roof. The rest I kept together and covered with a plastic bag similar to the Grey Havens. Finally, all the buildings were placed inside a smaller tote surrounded by towels to protect them. This again was very efficient because they stayed intact during the journey and they did not require any rebuild on site. The next morning, I packed up the car and used some bungee cords to hold everything in place. The damage was very minimal when we arrived, and I was able to set up everything within 2 hours versus the 6 hours it took me to reassemble a single and much smaller build at Brick Rodeo. The entire weekend was a super fun experience, and I'm glad I was able to meet more amazing builders and reconnect with old friends. Stay tuned, as I will be uploading a video of all the incredible builds from Bricks in the Six 2024, including some bonus clips from the After Dark hours. I hope you found this video helpful for future travels to conventions, and don't forget to check out the other video I made of flying with LEGO builds. If you haven't already, please do subscribe, as it does help out this channel a lot. Thanks so much for checking out this video today, and until next time, keep on building!